Hello and welcome back to the AAT'S podcast, episode number 17, with myself, Adi of AAT'S.
I'm Ian Riley, and you've got to say my second name then.
Good afternoon, Ian.
Good afternoon, Adi. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Yourself?
I am good. The sun's shining again.
That's good. It's always a good thing, that is.
It is. Brings positivity.
That is true. Then again, the rain can sometimes bring positivity as well.
Oh, you're right there. Back in the days, but I don't know why I said that.
That's fine. It's just paying tribute to our inspiration. So now today's movie we're talking about is again a standalone martial arts movie, and this movie, like Above the Law, what it did for Steven Seagal, this actually showcased and also skyrocketed this martial artist to stardom. The movie was about an American soldier who goes to Hong Kong to participate in what's called the Olympics of Underground Martial Arts tournament, called the Kumite. And the character's name was Frank Dux, and it was played by international martial arts sensation Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes.
As everybody's known him famous for doing the splits, the 360 degrees kicks.
Over Hong Kong.
Huh?
The splits over Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Looking over Hong Kong. That scene is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So we'll get into that.
We definitely will. So this movie actually skyrocketed because Van Damme did a few movies beforehand, but he didn't have any big major roles in it. It was just like you see him at the beginning of one of the movie, then you see him again right at the end, and then that was it. You never saw him after that as well, which I think was kind of a bit sad because of the fact that he showcased his martial arts techniques and everything, and he was actually a karate champion.
Yeah, he was the sensei, wasn't he, as well, of Dukes' character, right?
No, that's somebody else.
Oh, right.
Who's in that movie.
Okay.
So apparently, yeah, Frank Dux is based on a real life person. Named
Yes,
Frank
it is.
Dux,
It is. Yeah. Yeah, it says that at the end of the film.
Definitely. And yeah, so what do you think of the movie, Aiden?
Enjoyed it. It was there's a lot of mixed things. A lot of it was quite a mixed bag. I know it was just pure I know it was like a martial arts film. You saw the passion of each of these fighters. When he started the competition, but I just loved the humour in it as well, especially with Frank Dux and the two detectives.
that was actually really good.
I loved that part. We'll get into that as well, but I talk about one of my favourite scenes. But, it just brought a really good, light-hearted part to the film, because it was quite a violent film, and you saw a lot of gore in it, a lot of blood.
Yeah, definitely flying all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end, that map wasn't even clear. Like it was just drenched.
It was all red. It was all just full of blood, wasn't it?
Definitely. Yeah. Hence why they called the movie Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. Yeah. And one of the characters actually says that in the film as well. This is why they call it Bloodsport. I'm sure it was Jackson, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jackson.
Yeah, that's why they call it Bloodsport Kid.
Yeah, because he's very young in that movie, isn't he, Van Damme? And how he got the role, I'll explain that as well. But first I want to talk a little bit about Jean-Claude Van Damme's background. Now, obviously everybody knows him as the nickname, the Muscles from Brussels.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually said, what do you think of that name, Muscles from Brussels? He goes, it's better than being called the idiot from Brussels. Those were his exact words. And so basically, Van Damme, Jean-Claude Van Damme, his real name's actually Jean-Claude Van Varenberg. But yeah, let's see, you got the reaction out of Aiden. Thank you, everybody. And
okay, settle down.
That's fine. There's more reactions to come. Trust me. So so basically, his name was Jean-Claude Van Varenberg. He was born in Belgium, and he actually got inspired to do martial arts from watching a TV series called Kung Fu. It starred David Carradine at the time, and originally the show was going to star Bruce Lee, but then it had David Carradine take over.
When was this film made?
It was a TV series.
It's a TV series.
It was back in the 70s.
Okay, so
back 60s, 70s. Sorry. Yeah.
Bruce Lee still alive.
He passed away in 73.
Yeah. So if he didn't pass away, he would have been made for that role.
Yeah, definitely.
So
so Jean-Claude Van Damme, he saw that show and he goes, that's what inspired me to take up martial arts. He started taking up karate. He also moved into other forms such as Muay Thai, Taekwondo, a bit of I think Sabat, which is a French martial art, and then he got into bodybuilding.
You can tell with that in Bloodsport.
He's a big guy.
It's the definition of his muscles, isn't it? It's the definition of and how in proportion he is with his entire body.
Definitely.
And you just think, I can't see any flaws.
In a way, yeah. Really, if you look at him, because he came out just before Steven Seagal did, and what was really cool about Jean,
he was a lot younger than Steven Seagal.
He was. Yeah, he was. I think he was about 26, 27, and then.
And how old was Steven Seagal? 36?
He was about 35, 36 when he did Above the Law.
Yeah, that was his first film.
And he became a star, and he was the star of it as well.
Yeah,
because as we mentioned when we previewed his, no one had ever seen anybody like him before.
So yeah, but then obviously Jean-Claude, no one had. I don't think did anyone see anyone like Jean-Claude before?
Yeah, I think they did. I think they did see him a little bit, but obviously he's not. Obviously he was. Known for his martial arts skills and everything. Most people at that time knew Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Obviously, you can't.
and Jackie Chan, Jet Li as well. But obviously, them two are more based in Hong Kong compared to Norris, who was always based in the US. And then Jean-Claude came on the scene. Did you know Jean-Claude Van Damme, when he first arrived in America, he became friends with Chuck Norris. He was a bouncer at his bar.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. And then he displayed a few martial arts skills, and that caught the attention of a producer, and then said, "Come to the office tomorrow."
Ah, I see. Right place, right time.
Like Seagal,
yes,
in other words.
Yes.
And what was then? As I mentioned, he got in because he said he was quite a depressed kid growing up. But he put himself into comic books and everything, Marvel, Tintin, all that stuff. And then
Tintin.
Yeah, I remember Tintin as well. The Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah, that was good.
And then you had then he got into bodybuilding, martial arts. But he said that the one thing that put him off, that he couldn't kick guys who were quite taller than him, because they were all big guys and I was the little skinny little kid there. And then did you know how he got his flexibility up? You won't believe this. This is going to shock a lot of people.
All right, go on.
Okay, all right, hang on. All right. Van Damme actually studied classical ballet for 5 years. Got the reaction. Did you not know that? Jean-Claude Van Damme studied classical ballet for 5 years.
No.
Yeah. You see, got another reaction out of him again.
Okay.
I hope everybody heard that.
Awesome.
Yeah, because he said that one thing he liked about going to do ballet was it was all about teaching him grace. It was all about learning the flexibilities, learning how to do the splits. He goes, what a bonus part for him was meeting a lot of beautiful women there, because you saw women who were very graceful, they were very elegant, and that's how he got into. Then he combined everything together: bodybuilding, martial arts, as well as ballet.
Wow! So that was a really deadly combination. So you had the flexibility of ballet, you had the endurance. Obviously, you need a lot of endurance for bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of power.
Definitely.
And then obviously with the kickboxing.
Yeah, with martial arts.
Martial arts, yeah, you a lot of cardio.
Yeah, a lot of cardio, a lot of strength training and everything. And then obviously not strength training, you had a lot of combat training, self-defense training as well.
Yeah.
So he combined it all that together, and he actually won a few karate championships. I believe it or not, he actually won the bodybuilding title for Mr. Belgium at one point. Again, not surprised.
No, I mean, look at him.
Yeah, he was cut. He was especially in Bloodsport.
He was defined as hell. He was just, you can tell the work. I mean, that if he would have missed out one of those, if he would have took one of those attributes away from him, one of his learnings, like ballet, he wouldn't have had the body he had. If he would have took out one of those components, like Muay Thai or bodybuilding, obviously bodybuilding's a definite yes. If you take that away, he wouldn't have had the chest, he wouldn't have had the shoulders.
Yeah, he had good shoulders on him.
Yeah, he was a beast.
He was a big guy. And I saw a training session of him.
And the quads as well, man.
Yeah,
they build massively in bodybuilding.
Definitely.
You need it when you're doing the, what is it?
Squats.
The squats, yeah.
Yeah,
see,
that's my favourite exercise for
glad
legs.
Glad you know what it is.
Yeah, I love doing the squats.
The squats.
Back in the day.
Back in the days when we used to squat.
Yes. And then what happened was when he got in, then he wanted to go to the US to study acting, to become an action star. And believe it or not, one of the guys in the movie was actually his childhood friend. You know the one who, you know the fighter in it, who we see him for the first time, he's fighting in the jungle. He's got a group of guys around him, he's taking on another fighter. That's actually Van Damme's childhood friend called Mikhail Kessie. Yeah. And he actually played Tong Po in the movie Kickboxer, which came out right after Bloodsport. Have you ever seen the movie Kickboxer?
No.
Well, when you see that, and there's a...
Is that where he does the dance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen...
Yeah, that's the sort of thing he runs. Yeah.
He was on an interview, Jean-Claude, and...
Was it with Conan O'Brien?
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, we've got something to show you, John." He was like, "It's the dance, bears." Yeah. Look, it's the dance. You see the dance, and Jean-Claude's just like,
No, it was a long time ago.
Look, just forgive me. It was a long time ago, right? It was a very cheesy dance, wasn't it?
Then again, it was the 80s.
Yeah, it was.
It was a very hyped time, isn't it? I mean, we talk a lot about 80s and 80s movies, TV series, and everything. And
it was a funny dance.
It was.
He said he was enjoying himself.
He dropping in the splits every 2 seconds, and then he got into that as well, and then he was obviously into dance, and then so that main villain was actually his best friend in real life, who. They said they went to America together to hopefully become action stars, and he struggled a lot with obviously the first time.
Kickboxer.
Yeah, this is the movie Kickboxer. So he struggled a lot in real life because obviously he was for 6 years he was like sleeping all over the place. He was like in one room here, that couch there, that hotel room here. To support himself, he delivered pizza. He delivered. He worked as a bouncer. He actually ended up sleeping in his car at one point. Because he had nowhere to go.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? They do say that to chase your dreams, you have to make sacrifices.
Definitely,
and he like Arnold, he went from his homeland all the way to the US.
For an opportunity, yeah.
And if the guy failed, what's he going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was his motivation. Like Arnold, he didn't have anything.
Yeah.
He went there on the whim of making it as a karate champion and everything else, and then obviously right place, right time.
Yeah. Well,
becomes a movie star. It's just...
So how he got the role in Bloodsport was...
yes, tell me.
Okay, so how he got the role is he went to the producer's office and he said to him, "Look, I've been here for 5 years, 6 years now. I've chased everywhere, been here, been there." He was really depressed. And he goes, "Look, give me..."
It was at the end of his tether.
Yeah, and he goes, "Just give me a job, because what can you do?" He goes, "All right then." He got 2 chairs, put them on 2 ends, took off his shirt, showed his physique, did the splits between the 2 chairs.
Like he does in the film.
Yeah, and then the director, his name was Menahem Golan. He owned a company called Cannon Films. Fortunately, it's been bankrupt, but they did make some good movies. And Stallone worked with them a few times. Van Damme worked with them quite a bit.
Cool. Yeah.
So did Chuck Norris. And he then just said, the guy just leaned over, and his tongue was hanging out his mouth, and he goes, "Karin, bring me Bloodsport," the script of Bloodsport. He goes, read it, he goes...
Did that meant to be sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, that's how he sounded.
Oh.
And then Jean-Claude just said to him, "Look, just hire me now, I'm not too expensive, I'm the best, I can fight, I can do this." And he goes, "Right, it's fine, you got it."
Entertain, I've got a personality, I can fight, I'm flexible.
Yeah.
Good looking chap as well.
He was, yeah.
And yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, and then that's it.
That's it. Star to me.
He goes, "That's it, you got it." He goes, so the film, like I said, the plot about, and that's how he got the part in Bloodsport. And he goes, so obviously the plot about Bloodsport, it's a tournament that happens every 5 years in Hong Kong. And it's only open to the world's lethalest warriors, most lethal warriors.
And there's no holds barred.
And there's no rules, even though there is a ref there, they don't care.
Yeah, we see that a few times in the film.
I feel sorry for that ref a few times when he got thrown about over.
I know, right? You know, when that happened to him, I was like, come on, man, leave the guy alone. Just doing his job.
He's just doing his job.
So he's not actually one of those UFC refs where they just batter them from fire for like trying to batter them.
I think in a way this film kind of inspired years later the UFC.
You think?
I think in a way it did, because look at it. You have different styles of martial arts. You have a boxer, you have a Muay Thai expert, you have a Taekwondo expert, you have a
So when was the
sumo
genesis
wrestler.
of UFC?
I think early 90s.
So you think the chairman, the owner,
Dana White, yeah.
Dana White was a fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme?
I think he was a fan of most of the movies, and then especially the action stars.
I won't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either, bro. And what was really funny was when so you have all these combinations of fighting styles, and they're taking on one another, because there was that thing everybody used to say back in them days, which was, can a boxer take on a karate expert? Can a karate expert take on a taekwondo expert? Can a sumo take on what can he take? Can he take on a boxer? It was always that interesting question, because they always wanted to pit the skill against skill, and then you see it in this movie.
You see all the best champions from all those areas of fighting competing against each other.
Yeah.
It's not a bad spectacle, is it?
No, definitely not.
I mean, I would probably buy a ticket to see something like that.
Definitely.
Minus the death, of course. minus seeing people get killed. I would prefer to actually, see a good fight, but I'd be like, yeah, if they're going to kill somebody, I do not want to see it.
No, you didn't want to see it. But then again, those guys, a few people get killed in that movie, don't they? Yeah.
From one guy.
One man.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it could be two people in there.
Who else was...
there was a sumo wrestler, wasn't he?
Yeah, but... He didn't kill anyone, did he? Did he?
Don't think so. I think maybe he did, but it was
more Chong Li. What's his name again?
Chong Li.
Chong Li, yeah, it was more Chong Li that killed all the... He was always really ending people's lives, he was. The guy was already knocked out, and then he picks him back up again. Come on, man, give it a break. The referee did not like him.
Yeah,
the referee did not like him. And another favourite scene of mine, again, we'll get to that when we talk about favourite scenes. There was a brilliant scene.
Okay, and then, so moving into the character details. First off, we have Frank Dux, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think the way you say his name, you have to say it, pronounce it properly. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude, yeah. It don't sound like me go John.
Jean-Claude, yeah. I mean, like...
Jean-Claude.
I can remember, like I say, growing up in the 90s and the 80s, there wasn't a kid who wasn't a fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah,
there wasn't a fan of... There was someone who wasn't a fan of Seagal. Because obviously their fighting styles were a lot different, weren't they? Van Damme was more, striking with the kicks, where Seagal was more blocking and then...
Seagal was more defensive. Jean-Claude was
more
more offensive.
Yeah,
he was more of the... But he also had the defensive style as well. Because obviously, again, later on in the film, where his sight is restricted, he shows how good of a defence master he is as well. All thanks to the
sensei who trained him.
The sensei, yeah.
Shidoshi Tanaka.
It's Shidoshi, yeah.
Yeah. He was a great sensei.
Yeah, he was cool as well though, wasn't he?
Very calm.
I love it when you meet him for the first time.
Yeah.
And they say, are you awake? Do you sleep with your eyes open?
that was a good line. That was a really good line.
Favourite quote of mine. Yeah, I love that part. I was like, this guy's got one hell of a sense of humour.
He does, definitely. And then you have so you have Frank Dux, who's this American soldier whose father moved to America to pursue the I think it was the fishing career or something like that. Yeah, the fishing. Yeah, and then you see him. Then he wants to fit in with people, but he hangs around with the wrong crowd. The scene where he's a kid, and then he goes, "Oh, steal the Japanese sword." And then they go into that house, and then he just says, "Oh, I'm not doing it. I'm going to give myself up, hand it back to them." And then
the son comes in
and kicks him one.
Sadoshi's son comes in and just kicks him right in near the ribs.
Yeah, and then he goes, "Well, weak." And then when you test him, are you a warrior? And he goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, I wasn't trying to steal it. And he cuts that bit of his cap off.
Oh yes,
that was sick.
Yeah, I'm sure he says don't lie. He said
something like that. He goes,
yeah.
and then he just goes.
You didn't flinch.
Yeah.
You have warrior spirit.
Yeah.
But no, you have fighting spirit.
Yeah, and then he goes, "You're not going to call the cops, and we can make a deal."
But I love how quick he moves his wrist with the sword. You just hear it,
Yeah.
and then you just see the bottom of his fringe just get cut off. You're like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was good, and then that was a really good scene. That was, and then you see him wanting to honor him because after everything he did for him, I love that scene where he opens up to Shindoshi after Shindoshi's son gets killed. But I think the son may have died in the tournament in the Kumite.
I think they don't really say it.
You don't see it.
But I think they leave that open, and I think
it's definitely got to be the Kumite.
Yeah, it's definitely the Kumite because you know, you never know. Chong Li might have killed him.
No, because he was quite young when it happened, didn't it? Chong Li comes a few years. I think Chong Li may have come the next tournament.
Yeah.
And then you had
but it was definitely probably the Kumite
Kumite
that probably did that because that's why Dux probably wanted to
get in there
to pay his respects to his son.
Yeah.
And obviously pay his respects to Sadoshi as well.
Shindoshi, yeah.
Shindoshi.
And then what was really cool was that scene where he's saying to him, you know, me and your son were like brothers, and you and Mrs. Tanaka welcomed me in like a son. And you know, when he's like, I can't train anymore, I stopped. He goes, no, you got too much to teach. He goes, no, that's it. And he goes, why don't you teach me? He goes, but you're not Japanese.
Yeah, I love it when he says, you're not Japanese. He just turns to him like that, and you think, whoa.
Yeah.
And then you just see the restrictions he has.
Yeah. Because it's like, for example, like in Karate Kid 2, when Daniel says to Mr. Miyagi, when he goes, I thought your family's karate is only taught from father to son. Because, you know, but my father made an exception for Sato. This is similar to that, isn't it?
It is. There's quite a few similar aspects to Karate Kid.
Definitely. And then you see him when Shidoshi's son is getting beat up in school, and Dukes, when he's a kid, he goes and then jumps up and then he defends him.
Yes, he helps him out, and then so obviously he's getting bullied, isn't he? So he comes over
to help him,
kicks the hell out of the others. I didn't think that. You see, in this scene, I didn't think that the kid would accept his gesture to helping him up.
Yeah.
But when he did, you know, it put a smile on my face. I was thinking, yeah, they finally, because obviously the son didn't like him at first. He didn't like him
because he just remembers him as that guy who tried to steal the
father's
father's sword.
Trespassing in his property, which, okay, I don't blame the guy. I don't think I would trust anybody if they trespass on my property either. But when you see him accept his gesture, and then he picks him up and puts his arm around him, and you think, that is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that, that's cool. They're like family now.
Yeah, they become, because he probably went back and said to me, this happened to me in school, but Frank came to protect me, and it worked. And
also, when he says, one day I would like to pay my respects to my father, I would like to fight in my father's honour.
Yeah, in the Kumite.
Yes.
And it worked.
Exactly, yes.
And then what was another good scene was when, another good thing about Frank Dux, he has honour to him. Like, regardless of that scene where he's in the gym and he's just kicking the speed bag. And then
I love that part.
And then that guy goes, you know, the colonel found out you're going to Hong Kong, he wants to talk to you about it. He goes, all right, I'll come and talk to him after I take a shower. He goes, but I'll have to wait. He goes, all right, fine, let's go. And then he's in there and he sneaks out, and then he just...
I just love it when he goes in, he goes, Frank, how long are you going to be, Frank?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, shit.
And then he runs off. He goes, you all right? He was at the gym, he took a shower, then he disappeared. And he goes, oh, we got to go get him back, because if anything happens to him in Hong Kong, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And he goes, get Helmer and Rollins on this right away. And
the two jokes.
And then they were funny guys. They
I loved it, man.
You had a seasoned one, and you had
a young one, and you had the seasoned pro. Both of them obviously couldn't hack the Frank Dux.
No, they couldn't. And Frank Dux was a really cool name as well. And then you had so going on. Then Frank Dux, when he's like saying, one of the things I like about him is that regardless of the odds being stacked against him, he's still going through to do what he has to do. He's flying over to Hong Kong. He goes to Shidoshi. He goes, I'm going off to Hong Kong. He goes, but to honour you is everything to me.
Yeah.
Because after all he's done for him.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really have because it doesn't, in the film, it doesn't really show you much of his family life. Because he probably hasn't got a family.
Frank.
Yeah.
You see his parents at the beginning.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like he's more of a father figure to his actual father is.
Yeah.
Because obviously, because you get some parents where you don't have no same interests.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can't really have much conversation with him. But with him, he could have all the conversation he wanted with Shidoshi.
Shidoshi, yeah.
But it was also like a father figure at the same time. So you can see why he preferred him.
Definitely.
And he was a badass.
Oh, definitely. Ninjutsu master. And
total badass.
Yeah. No, he was
you wouldn't want that guy as you did,
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay, and moving on to another character. Who was your favorite?
Jackson.
Ray Jackson, yeah. I love it when you meet him for the first time and then he goes, he's in the bag, he's hitting the heavy bag, and the guy goes, "What are you going to Kumite for?" But that line he says, he goes, I love anything with full contact. Need a few more scars on my face. And he said that. That was quite a funny line, isn't that?
First time Dukes meets him is when he's
game.
On the tram.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's on the tram. He's on the bus. Sorry, the bus. And Dukes is there, obviously, looking all cool and swag, looking out at the the passing scenery.
Yeah, Hong Kong.
And then Jackson gets on board this huge, big American guy. Just climbs the steps, looks at the young girl, and then you think. Because at first I didn't really like him. I thought, this guy's a sleazebag.
Yeah.
Which he is in a way, but I don't know how much of a nice guy he is as well. So when I first see him, Dukes has the same impression of him. He sits down behind the she's a very attractive woman.
Oh yeah, she was.
He sits down behind and goes, "Hey, you ever been with a real big man?"
Yeah, too handsome for you.
Yeah, what? Too
Duke's
handsome for you.
And Dukes is sitting there like this.
He just rolls his eyes like this, goes, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" So that's what I did first. When I first saw him, I was like, yeah, he's got the same reaction as I have. But obviously he meets him again when he plays the arcade game with him.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
And then you think, this guy's pretty alright.
Yeah, it's like when he says to him, he kind of breaks the ice, he goes, "What, you think you can give me some competition?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, I'll try." He goes, "I like that." He goes, "I don't want to take your money, kid." And then he's like, when they're talking, he goes, "You like this type of fighting?" He's like, "Yeah."
Aren't you a bit too young for full contact, kid?
He goes, "Yeah, aren't you
Are you a little too old for video games?"
He's like, "Not bad, kid. Name's Ray Jackson. I'm Frank Dux."
I thought he was going to hit him at that point.
Yeah, they became really good friends.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the one thing I liked about him was that he hasn't got a fighting style that's recognised.
Yep.
He's got no fighting style in there. That's right. I think he's a combination of maybe a boxer, maybe a...
No, he's just a complete nutter.
Okay, let's go with it. I don't think that's a form of martial arts, bro, but still.
he's just a big guy with a big, powerful punch and a solid head.
That is true. That is true, yeah.
Because, I mean, come on, man.
When he breaks that brick.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he breaks that guy's face.
With one punch.
One punch. After the guy busts his nose, he goes, "My turn."
Hammer fist right to the face, yeah. That was funny.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That was a good scene. Another good one of my favourite scenes in that movie.
Yeah, favourite scenes.
No.
Oh, okay.
So Jackson, yeah, the good thing about him is he becomes a really good loyal friend to Frank. Like especially that scene where Helmer and Rollins, the two detectives, are going to arrest him. He goes, "No, we're taking you back to the US now." He goes, "Just 2 days, and I'll be at the airport in 2 days."
But these morons.
And then he clotheslines one of them, and then when that guy goes, when Forrest Whitaker's character goes, "If you want to shit Sparks, you stay put." That was a good line. If you want to shit
Yes,
Sparks,
actually,
he
yeah.
had that taser with him.
Yeah,
didn't he?
that was good. That was good. I like that. And obviously Jackson was thinking, actually no, rather not. So he just stays put. Obviously now,
yeah,
you can see how far Dukes has got. I mean, that guy's just gone. He's so quick. He's just ran off, and the old man is just, well, he can't. He can see him gasping for air when he's trying to chase after it.
You definitely can. So yeah, Jackson's was a good guy. Now moving on to Helmer and Rollins, they're obviously just detectives from the military who they don't want to have anything happen to Dukes in Hong Kong because they figured, oh, he could cause an international incident if anything happens to him, so we have to go there and get him to come back because he left without any permission from the military. AWOL, absent without leave. That's what it stands for.
Yes.
Jean-Claude actually did a movie called AWOL a few years later.
Really?
Yeah, but in England it's called AWOL, in America it's called Lionheart.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a pretty good movie of his as well.
I've got one for you.
Okay.
Frank Dux
Yes.
never has and does not hold any of the world records listed at the end of the film.
Really?
Like his own backstory and claims of committed success, these are all pure fiction.
Wow.
Reaction.
Yes, he even got my reaction.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. And then, like I said, Helmer and Rollins, one of the funniest things is, you know, when they arrive in Hong Kong and they're going out for dinner, that was a funny scene, the dinner scene.
Yeah,
and he's like trying to eat this stuff and then they can't use the chopsticks and everything.
Yeah, I like that.
And then he's like, he flings it over to that dog, he has a house and the dog doesn't want to eat anything.
Yeah, the dog just sniffs it and just goes, no, I'm alright.
Yeah, he does do that. And when they're chasing him all over Hong Kong, that was a funny scene.
Oh, that's one of my that's one of my all-time favourite scenes in the film. I just love how confident Dukes is when he's just running off, because those guys have no fitness, they have no discipline at all when it comes to cardio or anything. You just see a big cop and a smaller old cop
working together,
trying to chase after this professional fighter who's got all the cardio in the world.
Definitely, yeah.
And you just think, yeah, he's just going to take the mickey. I love it when he hides and then he comes out and he waves at him.
Yeah. One of my other favourite scenes was, you know, he's running across the
boats, like those.
the boats was one thing. There was the other scene where he's got the 2-lane highway, the road.
Yes.
And then he's just standing there, resting, and goes, yeah, I'll wait here, you take your time, and then he runs off and he's laughing. And then
the bus comes though, doesn't it? The bus comes and it blocks them seeing him for a bit. And then when he's back in sight, you just see how tired they look. It's just like they're looking around and they're going,
can't do this.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And then you also had the other scene where they were really good characters. They were kind of like, you know, old cop, young cop, and then like one's teaching the other one.
Both extremely unfit.
Both extremely unfit, but then they added some good comedic aspect to that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for them, the film wouldn't have been the same. There wouldn't have been as much comedy aspect to it, and that's the thing. It would have been just pure brutal, which is, I don't mind those films sometimes, but you do need
some humour to it. Yeah, you do.
Can't be all serious, this kind of. So I'm glad those two were in it because it made me smile, it made me laugh a few times instead of going ooh ah ee every time somebody got hit or smashed in the face in the actual kumite.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, moving on to another character, Janine, the female reporter, the beautiful female reporter.
Yeah, she is beautiful as well.
I like the scene where she's trying to find out about, you know, what's going on about the kumite, but nobody's allowed to talk about it. Which, like the two kung fu experts you see in the bar at the time.
Yeah, you're coming with me upstairs.
Yeah, Hassan. And then, not our friend Hassan.
No, not you, mate.
I hope you're all, bro.
The one from the film, not you.
Yeah. And then she when he's about to hit her, and Duke stops it, and he goes, and Jackson's like, oh, I guess the kumite starts one day early, huh, fellas? And he's like, and Frank's, he's smart. He goes, look, if we're going to fight, we're both going to get kicked out of the kumite over this girl. Yeah. Are you for real or what?
And you see the girl, you just see her go, what?
Yeah.
Really?
And then Dukes wins her, and then he goes,
it's funny how he wins it.
It does. I've got a story to tell about that.
Okay, that's great.
And then he basically, he wins it, and he goes, all right, I'll talk to you if you have dinner with me tomorrow night, and or tonight, or whatever you like. And then And she's like, oh, I want a story and everything, but she's like, well, I can't, there's no press, strict rules, and she goes undercover. But one thing I like about it, when she kind of develops a feeling for Frank, where she's like saying to him, when he goes, why are you fighting in this tournament? I mean, he goes, oh, because it's personal. But over time he breaks it down. He goes, look, I'm doing it to honour my sensei. And then she goes, I became a reporter because of her father.
That's another favourite scene of mine. Why did you become a reporter? Because of my dad. And because I'm good at it. It's exactly the same for me and these fighters. I'm trying to pay, to give honour to my sensei.
Yeah.
And it's what I'm good at. What's the difference?
Exactly.
There is no difference.
No, there is no difference whatsoever.
So that was a good scene.
Yeah, and then when she goes to the police to warn them about, oh, there's this guy who's going to fight in the Kumite tomorrow. I know where it is. You need to get down there and have a look and see what you got to stop this guy from fighting. Okay, and then she ends up honouring Frank's wishes and everything, even though she's saying it's not good. She's quite shocked at seeing all the death taking place there and everything.
You do see her cringing a lot because obviously again it's Chong-Li that's doing all the death scenes. Let's admit it.
Breaking the bones.
Yeah, the knees scene. Where he just snaps his knee
and the bones hanging out.
You see the bone. When I saw that, my stomach curdled a little bit. It's like, oh.
I think a lot of people did, but you watch it for the very first time. That says more. That does.
It was just, when I first saw Bolo Young's character, obviously Chong-Li, I was just thinking.
Get to that one.
I was just like, this guy looks crazy. He looks insane, and I was right.
You weren't wrong, bro.
That was insane. Oh yeah, especially when he broke the guy's knee.
Yeah, he snaps it and off. That was Van Damme's friend in real life.
Bolo Young.
No, not just him, but the one whose leg he breaks. So I mentioned.
Was his mate? That was his friend.
The one from childhood.
Oh right, okay.
That was him.
Oh right.
Yeah, and then another character, Mr. Lin. The handler.
Oh, he's cool as well.
He is funny. He is. When you meet him, Jackson and Dukes are like we're checking.
It's like a funny trio, isn't it? Those two. When
you have the big goof Jackson. You have Frank, who's kind of smaller, who's kind of serious, and then you have Lynn, who's a bit more on the humorous side of things.
He's the comedy guy.
He definitely is the comedy guy.
The guy with a big mouth.
Yeah, and then he's like, hey, Jackson, you look like a Jackson. And he goes, I'm going to make you Frank Dux. No, it's Dukes. All right, like Porky Dukes, right? And then when they go to the tournament, they were like, you represent the Tanaka clan. You don't look like a Tanaka. And he goes, well, he trained. He goes, what's the hold up? He says here that Senzo Tanaka's his Shindoshi. He goes, yeah, what's the big difference if Bruce Springsteen was his Shindoshi? Just let him.
I love that part.
I love that. That was a good line. And then he goes, all right, it shows the dim mark. He goes, what is that? Death touch. And then when he's like, and he goes, Len, choose a brick. He goes, all right, this one here. He goes, all right, do it.
He goes, bottom one.
And then everybody crawls around, gets around there to see it, which was another cool scene. Everyone's seeing this fact that, oh, what's this guy going to do? And he just hits the top brick and the bottom one breaks along with it.
Yes, he did it. You see Jackson as well going, yeah!
Yeah. And then the other line he says after when that guy goes, we honour your invitation. He goes, no shit, you honour his invitation. that was a good line though.
Oh man, he's proper OTT in this, isn't he? Just the Jackson guy. He's just awesome in this film. Again, he's my favourite character in the film.
I think he was, yeah. He definitely had to be. He was a lot of. Apparently, that was a fictional. It's purely fictional. Well, the dim mak. Apparently, it's a legendary move fabled in Chinese martial arts folklore, and so that wasn't really a real move that happened there.
Yeah, a lot of it was fictional with that Frank Dux. A lot of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the record that comes up at the end was fiction. The fact that he won 56 matches in the tournament. This is not only pure fiction, it is mathematically impossible. It would require 2 to the 56th power participants, or more than 9 million times the population of the Earth. The movie claims that, so he didn't win 56 matches. He didn't win.
Yeah.
He wasn't unbeaten in 56 because they're saying it was impossible. So that was pure fiction as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously the amount of challengers you would have had to face in the tournament. Because it went on for a long time. So, yeah, that was pure fiction too.
It was, yeah. I mean, another good thing I liked about that scene, and, you know, going back to Jackson, he was actually based on a ex-biker and jiu-jitsu practitioner called Richard Robson. Yeah, that's because Jackson's kind of based on a real-life person as well.
Okay.
And so that was another one. Lynn, he was a funny guy.
Lynn was great.
What was another thing he said when he's describing he goes, "Hi guys, this is full contact. You have three rules. 1, you knock the guy out. Number 2, your opponent quits and shouts Mate. Or number 3, you throw him right off the platform. Do that."
I just see Jackson do that as well.
Jackson's like, "Oh, piece of cake. Piece of cake. No problem."
I love it when he says to I love it when he's first up.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Watch and learn, kid."
Yeah.
And he slaps him on his back, and you're like. I was actually worried at first because I was thinking, is he actually good as he says he is? And then he just like knocks the guy out with one punch. You're going, I love it when he turns and goes, "Yeah!" It's like he's celebrating scoring a goal in football.
Yeah,
his fist pump in the air, and he's running around the what is it? Yeah, it's not a ring, obviously.
The platform.
Yeah, running around the platform. That's my favourite character.
Lynn was a really good friend.
No, Jackson. Lynn's up there as well. Lynn's definitely up there. Chong Li is as well.
Chong Li was just something else.
It's complete badass.
Yeah, so he goes, 3 rules. 1, you knock your opponent out. 2, the other guy quits and shouts Mate. It's like saying uncle. And number 3, you throw him right off the runway. And then that's it, yeah. So those were the 3 rules of the Kumite. Another good line where he says, you know, when Jackson's about to fight Chong Li, and he goes, "Time to separate the men from the boys." Jackson says that, but what Lin says better, he goes, "Just be sure Chong Li doesn't separate your head from your body." That was a good funny
I
line.
was terrified when, so later on in the film, we obviously see Jackson go up against Chong Li. I was terrified for Jackson when he was going up against him, because I thought, he ain't gonna win this.
Yeah, because like even if you look at it, Jackson's a lot bigger than Chong Li. All the guys Chong Li fought before him were about the same size, or even some were smaller.
Yeah, but you know, I just thought the big cuddly dude, obviously not cuddly in the platform.
A violent teddy bear.
Violent teddy bear, yeah, a cuddly violent teddy bear. I felt, is he dead?
That's what I thought.
You know, because I thought you can't kill this guy. Because obviously when he hits the back of his head at the end of the fight,
stomps on his head.
You think he's killed him.
That's what a lot of people thought about it.
But when I saw him in the hospital, just before another great scene where Dux says to Janine, "This is why I'm a fighter, why you're a reporter," that scene. Right, I loved it when you actually saw him in the hospital bed, because I thought, he isn't dead.
Yeah, that's what. That was a good scene, because he was one of the best characters, definitely the comedic aspect.
Yes.
Him and Lynn.
And the detectives.
They made good. It's like Hellman Rollins bounced off well with one another, and Lynn and Jackson bounced off well with one another. It was the perfect combination.
Yeah, they got it right in this film. They really got it right. Another this. It's not a great trivia thing, but I'll say it anyway. Did you know this is one of Donald Trump's all-time favourite movies? You knew that?
Well, kind of.
Oh, okay. Moving on.
Yeah, that's right. And you still got a reaction out of me.
Hey, thank you.
Well, believe it, I think it's even quite a lot of martial. You know, like a lot of guys who fight in MMA. This is one of their favourite movies as well. Bloodsport. I'm not surprised, because it kind of foreshadowed, like I said, UFC that was due to arrive.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. You're probably right about that. You're probably right in the fact that because UFC is obviously, you know, very, very extremely similar to the Kumite, because you've got you've got multiple styles of fighting.
Yeah.
Obviously in UFC you've got wrestlers,
boxers,
Muay Thai. You've got everything. So you're probably right. This probably was the genesis of UFC. Dana White was probably a kid back then as well.
Yeah,
or
he
old
was.
enough to actually start his own business. So
Yeah,
and
definitely.
he's a pro fighter as well, former pro fighter.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, he's trained to be one anyway. I don't know if he actually. I don't know if he actually fought in anything, but he's trained in it. So yeah, you're probably right. You probably got a shout there.
Definitely.
Send him an email. Hey Dana.
Yeah.
Dana.
Can we work together sometime?
I'll show you some ring style.
Definitely.
No, I get my ass kicked.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
Move on to one last final character, Chong Li.
Yes.
You go for it then.
Wow. Okay. So my favourite thing about Chong Li, obviously Bolo Yeung played character in Enter the Dragon.
Similar to us, yeah.
But that's the guy that Bruce Lee says to where he breaks the board. Bruce Lee says.
No, that was O'Hara, played by Bob Wall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I just love this character because obviously at the end he shows a bit of his cheating side.
Yeah.
But I just love how aggressive he is. I just love how he'll do anything to, because he didn't break any rules.
No, he didn't.
They didn't break any rules. There's no rules to break. But obviously the fact that you see him break the guy's knee, the bone sticking
and the
out.
bone, yeah.
Yeah, you just think this is not a guy you'll mess with. Out of all the fighters, at least they've got a bit of honour. But this guy's got no honour at all.
It's all about got to win.
Yeah, it's all about got to win. But one of my favourite scenes as well, which involves Chong Li, is where he kills one of the fighters. And
at the end?
No, not at the end. And the referee is looking up at him to say, you've killed him. And Chong Li gets up, and then the judges
that's towards...
get up, and they turn their backs on him.
Yeah.
And everything just goes quiet. And then Chong Li goes to Frank Dux and goes, "You're next." And then you just think, man, this guy doesn't care. I mean, everybody now is turned their backs on him. I love that scene because it just shows you how unmoved Chong Li is. He doesn't care if people cheer for him. He doesn't care if people boo him.
Yeah.
He'll kill you if he has to.
Yeah, he would. He'll do anything it takes
and he's
to
the former
win.
champion as well, isn't
he?
he?
He's the current champion. Because I like that scene where
Champion,
he's about to have his first fight and Dukes goes, "What's going on?" And then Jackson goes, "That's Chong Li, the current champ." And Lin goes, "He's never been defeated. He holds all the records, including the fastest KO, but he killed a guy during the last tournament." He goes, "Yep." Kicked him right in the throat, and the guy died right then. Chong Li stood there and watched him die.
And he does that about 3 times in this tournament.
He doesn't care. He's doing whatever it takes to win.
Yep. He does whatever it takes, and that's what I like about the character. I mean, obviously, minus ending people's lives, of course, but I think if you look at if you was to have a street fight, you'd do anything.
Yeah, it is basically like a street fight, now that you mention it.
Because your life's in danger.
Yeah.
And with the animal kingdom, you'll do anything to, keep your life intact.
Yeah, you would.
So, again, it's, what are you going to do? Minus killing the people, of course, but at the same time, the guy is trying to protect his own life.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like from the other scene where he's about to fight Dukes for the last time, and he goes, "You break my record, now I break you."
Now I break you. Yeah, it's a bit like you will lose. Like you will lose.
Yeah.
I will break you.
Yeah. Then again, this was 1987, I believe, and then Rocky IV was out in 1985.
All right, so
88. Sorry, 88. This one.
All right, okay. I was going to say if it was 1985, a bit of inspiration from Rocky IV, maybe from the backroom writing staff.
Definitely. And did you know this is actually one of Jean-Claude's personal favourite movies? I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised either. It has it's got everything in it. Comedy, great action.
Great fights.
Great characters. Great fights. Good story. Really good story. Good quotes. Good dialogue, especially when, again, with Janine and Dukes, where they're talking about why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
What is the difference between what you do and what I do? We both are good at it, and we both do it. We both love it.
Yeah, exactly. I do that. And what was then? Yeah, so we've done character details. One thing I liked about Chong Li was his brutality.
Yeah.
You could tell this guy is extremely brutal, especially the way he fights. It doesn't take him long to end the first fight he's in.
No, just like Jackson.
Yeah.
One strike, bang, done.
And then Dux does the same thing in his first fight. He wins the first fight and he breaks the Kumite record.
That's what Chong Li doesn't like, because you see him watching and he's like, just shakes his head as if to say, all right.
I've got some competition this time. And
but he likes that competition, doesn't he?
And it's in the form of a Westerner. Because that was the other good thing, that was another good scene that Lynn says to him, and he goes, when him and Jackson have been in the hospital, and then so when him and Dukes are in the hospital visiting Jackson, and he goes, you know, forget about Chong Li, forget about getting him back, forget about the girl. Tomorrow you have an opportunity to make history.
First Westerner to actually
win the Kumite. Because it's never been fought by a Westerner. And it says that in the trailer. The trailer was quite awesome as well.
I haven't seen the trailer.
Oh, the trailer is just as good as its movie.
I haven't watched that.
Yeah. So moving on to the behind the scenes talk.
Okay, all yours. The stage is all yours. I want to hear all of this.
Oh, thanks.
The red carpet's been laid out.
Definitely. And okay, so behind the scenes, what happened was, because Frank Dux was the fight coordinator for the film, and when Jean-Claude Van Damme was casted, Dux announced that Van Damme wasn't in nearly good enough shape. So he put him through a 3-month training program, and Van Damme, being a world champion martial artist in his own right, called it the hardest training of his life, having to get in that shape.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's in pretty decent shape, isn't he?
Yeah, he was, definitely. And do you know, throughout the movie, he does a total of his trademark splits 7 times during the movie.
That's insane. How flexible that guy is back then was incredible.
I think he's just as flexible now.
He still is, yeah. Yeah, he is. He's
in his 60s now.
You look after yourself, your body looks after you.
Definitely. And here's one thing this is going to give you the biggest shocker, especially on this guy's
Alright,
face.
okay.
And hopefully everybody else sitting behind the camera.
I'm ready for it.
Did you know the scene where Dukes hits the sumo wrestler and he drops into the splits and hits him in the groin?
Yeah, that hurt me.
Did you know that was actually inspired to create the video game character Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat?
Love it. I absolutely love that.
Yes, got the reaction.
Yes. Johnny Cage.
And also Van Damme was asked to play Johnny Cage in the 1995 movie Mortal Kombat, not the recent remake. And
I haven't seen the remake, don't want to.
Fair enough. And then they asked him to play Johnny Cage, but he turned it down to do Street Fighter instead.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you had Nintendo versus Sega.
Yeah.
And he chose Nintendo.
Capcom who owns Street Fighter, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically he said.
Played Guile, didn't he?
Huh? Yeah, he did.
Guile. Yeah.
It wasn't his best, but still.
It was.
And also the fighter Hassan was actually knocked unconscious by Van Damme with an elbow, but that scene made it into the movie. You know the first fight he has, and he goes, "Now I'll show you a trick or two," and he knocks his tooth out, the gold tooth.
And that's when that guy collects it from the platform.
Yeah, he does.
Sees the gold tooth and he's like, "Ooh."
And he's looking around and everything. He bites it first. Huh? That's gold.
He takes it. That's mine.
Yeah, definitely. And also, there was another scene in that where Van Damme's trading kicks with a guy in a grey karate gi. He's got long hair. Have you seen him?
In the film, the long hair.
Yeah, they both do a spin kick together at the same time, but they do.
Oh yes, you mentioned it.
And then he goes, that fighter was actually a veteran Hong Kong stunt performer and top-notch martial artist, Yu Shi Wu. I think that's how you pronounce the name. But he was asked to tone down his kicking skills to make Van Damme look better on screen.
Oh, come on. Yeah. You don't want to be over... yeah. I don't think Van Damme would have actually suggested that. That would have been the producers.
Yeah, and also, as I mentioned, this is one of Van Damme's favourite movies of his own, and also, you know the Muay Thai expert who Dux fights with in the end?
Oh, the guy, yep.
He was actually a real-life Muay Thai champion.
You can tell.
You could tell.
The thing is, right, like in Karate Kid, you can tell who's natural. Obviously, the ones that have been trained and the ones who haven't been trained.
Yeah.
But obviously have been trained during filming. But it's just, you can just tell how natural some of them looked in the fighting stance. But it's a lot, majority or all of them maybe have been trained, other than obviously Jackson, who didn't have a recognised fighting style, martial arts background.
Yeah, that's
true.
He
just walked up to the guy and blasted him in the face. That's what he did, or just threw him a mile.
And also, this is actually among the American Film Institute's 2001 list of 400 movies nominated for the 100 most heart-pounding American movies.
Again, I'm not surprised.
Not surprised.
I am not surprised that the film is kick-ass. Again, I loved it. I just loved the film. I love every aspect of it. But there was one scene, I'll tell you, a disappointing scene that I have in the film.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal, but it could have been better. It's where he goes up against the that black fella.
The real tall guy.
Yeah, the real tall guy. The guy looked like he was going to cause some damage. The guy was ripped to shreds. He had this very evil gaze, and he was doing all of these taunting motions with his hands. And then he did the the Undertaker. How he was,
yeah. I've seen that.
And then you think, God, this guy's gonna give this guy a go. He's gonna give Dukes a go. He's in trouble here.
Yeah.
And then, bang, that's it. Lights out for the guy, and you think, come on. There could have been a bit better there. It could have been a bit more of a,
that would have been that quickly. Yeah, I think. Yeah, that would have been a little bit better as well, that fight.
Yeah.
Okay, and also there was quite a few Bruce Lee references in there.
Yep.
Now, the first one I was going to mention, do you remember the scene where Dukes is betting against Hassan? He goes, if I win, you give me the girl, if not, you take her. Then there's that coins thing. Bruce Lee actually did that in real life.
Not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. So, what that trick was, for those who do not know, Bruce Lee would put a big coin in somebody's hand and say, if I grab it, you have to close your hand, but if I can grab it before you close your hand, that's it. So what he did, he would move it so fast, and then the person would think, I still got the coin, and goes, no, open your hand.
He'll feel the coin in his hand still, like, yeah.
And he put a penny in there the same time he moves it.
That's great. How quick a reaction, movement, do you have to be to actually switch coins?
Yeah, exactly. How big of a movement you have to do that.
It's incredible, isn't it? When I saw that happen, I was fooled at first, but then I looked again at the coin, I was like, he swapped the coin.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then Bruce Lee actually did that in real life. There was that Bruce Lee reference, and the other one was, you see the guy who fights Chong Li for the very first time? Mm-hmm. He's standing there doing all those Bruce Lee style movements, and he's like getting himself straight.
That was a Bruce Lee reference.
And he stands like Bruce Lee doing the stance.
Yeah, I saw that.
And because Bolo Yon and Bruce Lee were quite good friends in real life, because obviously they met each other on the set of Enter the Dragon. They made in good friendship before Bruce Lee's death as well.
Yeah.
And that was what Bruce Lee references. And the most famous one was, when Dukes does the dim mak and he breaks the brick, and then Chong Li goes...
Bricks don't hit back, yeah.
Again, similar to Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, boards don't hit back.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of Bruce Lee, paying homage to Bruce Lee in this film. Because obviously Bruce Lee died years before this film was released. So, and who better to pay respects to than him? Yeah, he's his own friend, one of his biggest friends. Exactly. Without him, where would martial arts cinema be? Exactly, nowhere. And also, Jackson, Dukes, Hassan, and Chong Li are the only Kumite fighters with dialogue in the whole movie, if you notice. Looking back now, I've realised that because you never see. You just don't see other authors.
Yeah, see them talking.
The only dialogue they have is when one of them gets killed or makes a groaning noise when they've had their nose broken.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only dialogue they have.
Definitely. So, what's your favourite scene now? We're going to go into favourite scenes.
Favourite scene? Right, okay. So, when Dux is blinded by Chun-Li in the final fight, you see an amazing... so, you see him bring back the training that Satoshi gave him. You see him have all these flashbacks, don't you? And you see him with the blindfold on. Yeah. And then you think, he's got it now. Because he's panicking at first, but then you see him just go into that relaxed and peace state. And then later on you see him do like 4 roundhouse kicks. And he's nearly hitting Chun-Li. And you think, that was amazing. You just see but it's amazing how high he jumped. 4 times in a row. Was it 4 times?
Yeah, about 4 times he drops those kicks on him.
And you was just like, man, this guy's on it. That's one of my favourite scenes, one of them. What about yours? What's one of yours?
My favourite scene is definitely going to be the training montage.
Oh, yes.
Where Dux is remembering how Shinoshi trained him. And it's like, he's teaching him how to use without his senses, practice while he meditates, no distractions. He's doing a good job. But then when he's hanging him by those trees and he's like pulling him up and everything, he's like nearly pulling him apart. He's like, no, you got to do it, you got to do it. And he's like lifting himself up and he does a good job of it. And then you also have...
and one of them collapses.
It does, yeah. Your next favourite scene?
Alright, so I've already mentioned this one. But Jackson's one-punch knockout.
Yeah.
Where he says to... where he says to Dux, goes, watch and learn, kid. And he just walks down to the platform.
Yeah.
And he's just, confidently moving around. Gets hit in the face, gets his nose busted. And then he just looks at the guys and say, yeah, my turn. He just grabs it.
Bang.
Hammer fist right into his face. The guy falls to the floor. You just hear the thud. And then he just runs around. Yeah!
Alright, Frankie.
You see that? Frank's like,
good job. Something like that. Frankie's like, good job. And then when he comes back and he goes to him, well done, Jackson, but what took you so long? It's not funny. Real funny.
Funny kid, very funny. Right.
Right. Another one of my favourite scenes is okay, we'll go on favourite fight scenes now.
Okay.
One of my favourite fight scenes was was when Dux takes on the Muay Thai expert.
Okay.
Paco, yeah. Because like I said, he was a real life Muay Thai expert.
Yeah.
And so Muay Thai champion. And so basically, yeah, that was a good. I love that. I love the scenes where they're just kicking one another non-stop. It's like, hey, come on, kick that, and it's like bang, 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 bang.
Yes, that part is amazing.
Kind of similar to the fight in Rocky 4, where it's like they were just hitting one another in the face. Like one hits one, one hits the other, one hits the other.
Bam.
It was kind of similar to that in a way.
This one was better than, wasn't it?
Yeah,
because you saw the intensity in Duke's eyes. Come on, and then. They just kept going back and forth with kicks.
Yeah, non-stop.
I was just like, when I saw that, I was just into it. I was like leaning forward on my chair going, this is amazing. And obviously, you see Dukes end the guy right there and then. And you think, yeah, that guy's that great scene. I don't blame you for actually picking that fight scene, because that was probably mine as well.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, another one?
I think when Dukes faces that sumo wrestler,
yeah,
and what I loved about this part is where the sumo wrestler grabs one of his legs. So he goes to kick him in the face, and then he grabs his leg, and then he moves Dukes into the splits position.
Yeah,
but he still manages to kick the guy. How the hell does he manage to kick him from that?
He hits him he back fists him in the head.
Oh yes, he does, yeah. And then obviously he hits him in the balls after that.
And then does the hit to the stomach.
Yeah. Yeah, that part is great as well, because and then you just see him, you're like, yeah, this guy's done. But he keeps moving.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Like, this don't get end the guy, nothing will.
Definitely. And then another one good fight scene is, you know, when you see the Muay Thai expert taking on the Kung Fu expert, then he's like just grabbing him around the neck, and he's doing all the knees to the rib cages and all that stuff, and then just jumps up and knees him right in the face, and that's it. And
yeah, that part made me cringe.
he splatters the blood all over the place.
So that's sort of our favourites. That's my favourite scenes.
Do you have another favourite fight scene? Well, did you did mention about the fight, the scene where they're chasing him over Hong Kong?
Yeah, that's yeah, I love that scene. That was the comedic point of it, wasn't it?
Properly, yeah.
And you know when he's climbing over the boats to get away, to get to the other end,
yeah.
And then he ends up taking that taxi
back to the hotel.
Back to the hotel. But what happens before that is they're trying to chase him, and they're the two detectives, and then you can see like, yeah, these guys have got nothing on him.
No,
and then one guy falls, then the other guy falls into the water, and then you just see them both come up like that, looking over at Dukes, and Dukes is just waving to him like, "See you later, guys."
I'm off.
Just look at each other and go, "Oh, for Pete's sake, this is getting ridiculous." Because they do say to him at the end, "You've been in a real pain in the ass, you know that."
And then when there's like, you know, when they say that at the airport, which is quite funny. But then Dukes kind of respects their wishes, and they kind of respect his as well.
They did say to him, "I'll be there. I'll be there tomorrow after the tournament."
Yeah, he says that, but he goes, "I'll be at the airport." First, I'll be at the airport in 2 days.
What took you so long, guys?
Are you coming or what?
And they're just like,
they wait. They say, they're thinking, he's not going to come back, and then he's already on the plane.
It's like, "Come on, guys."
Always like,
"You're always late." And they just look at each other and go, "Oh, yep, he's there again. He's taking the mick out of us again. Yeah, you've been a real pain in our ass, you know that, Dukes."
But he aims to please. Definitely.
Yeah.
Alright. So on a score of 1 to 10, what do you give Bloodsport?
7.
I give it 8.
Yeah.
8, because it's one of my favourite Van Damme movies.
Yeah, it's a great film. Actually, can I change my mind?
Go for it.
7.5.
Done.
Yeah, done.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for today's podcast. We'll be starting a new trilogy coming up pretty soon.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. It's not just action packed. This is action comedy trilogy.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So that's a little hint of what's due to come. But as always, I want to say thank you to Aidan for always taking the time out for coming here.
Pleasure as always.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. If you made it all the way to this podcast, please don't forget to click subscribe, turn on notifications, give it a thumbs up.
Get notified.
Yeah, and because without you guys, all your support, this never would have happened.
And tell your friends. Share it on.
Please share this. This is really
sharing is caring.
Yeah, as Aidan. So always, this is Addy.
And I'm Aidan.
Thank you. Always remember, the 80s rock.
They do rock.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, bro.
See you soon.
See you soon. Next time, maybe.